Hi, welcome back to Travel Tuesday with Teresa. I'm your host, Teresa Belcher, and founder of Honeymoon Islands. And today is exciting because we're going to take an authentic trip to Montana. My co-host today is Drew, and he is my BDM from Paws Up and the Greeno. And take it away. I'd like for you to explain the difference between the resorts, and you've got a presentation, so it's all yours.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Teresa, for having me. There's our first dog feature in the video here. So my name is Drew Big Duh. I'm the Senior Director of Sales, Business Development with the resort at Paws Up. May will be 14 years that I've been with the resort, which I know in this industry is something of an anomaly, but obviously a huge fan of Montana in general. And I think that it's exciting to be able to share this with everybody. And so without further ado, I'll share my screen, kind of get into things. Just a little bit of, I will preface this. I'm going to start with the resort at Paws Up. See, I wasn't lying. Fine, we're gonna just break the seal.
Oh, look at that.
So we'll have to forgive some of the barking.
Oh, that's okay. He's welcome to join us.
You know, we're living the truth of Paws Up. And so yeah, so we're going to start with Paws Up, and then we will discuss the Greeno, our adults only sort of enclave on property. Just some pretty pictures. So imagine yourself on property. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So the first question everyone asks is, where in God's name is Paws Up? So just a little idea, Western Montana, one of the more beautiful pieces of property I've seen in my life, about 45 minutes northeast of Missoula. On the left there, you'll see a little bit of a flight pattern. This obviously changes a little bit seasonally, but you do see there's a lot of direct flight into Missoula. It's only the airport is brand newly remodeled. There are 5 gates, easy peasy in and out. We'll pick your clients up and bring them to this absolutely stunning 37,000 acre piece of property. It is privately owned. Paws Up has been a working cattle ranch for about 100 years. We still run Black Angus. We have a herd of bison on property. So I think what really sort of the reason that I talk about that sort of first and foremost is that Paws Up really is the ranch experience. I think that what we've done is create this really incredible, really beautiful resort, escape on a working ranch. So you walk around, you have this really authentic feel. That home there actually used to belong to the Lindbergh family. So there's a lot of really cool history within this property. Behind our sort of property are 1.5 million acres of the Bob Marshall Wilderness, which is federally protected land. So some of our equestrian programs, things like that, go back into that wilderness. It really is. Listen, I love Paws Up. I love the Greeno. But at the end of the day, for me, I think Montana does the heavy lifting. It really is, seasonally, fall, winter, spring, summer. The Blackfoot River cuts our property in half, 10 miles of the Blackfoot River. So for fishing, rafting, if you've ever seen a river runs through it, that is the Blackfoot River featured in that movie. It's got a lot of really special, kind of American history. And I think it's a really sort of an unappreciated gem right here in our backyards. And so without further ado, there are buffalo. We now have a herd of about 200 bison and buffalo on property. Really cool, really authentic experience. So you get to live that ranching experience. We'll talk about some of the activities here in a little bit. But first, the accommodations. The beauty of Paws Up, I think that the differentiator with some of our not even competitors, partners, friends in the industry, is that all of our accommodations are individual accommodations. The homes, the tents, even the Greeno. So we don't have any rack of rooms. There's no lodge. We have the luxury homes. 28 of these big, beautiful homes, 1 bedroom, all the way up to the big 4-bedroom, 5-bath. So great for couples, great for families. This time of year, we're seeing a lot of that multi-generational family travel, grandma, grandpa, kids, grandkids, come take a couple homes and just go absolutely nuts on property. Big open spaces. Obviously, everything we do in the accommodations is geared towards kind of bringing nature inside, right? You don't want to be stuck in a room and not be able to see some of this incredible topography around you. The big picture windows, this is one of the master bedrooms. Really kind of Western chic, Americana. If you can believe it, this is one of the bathrooms. and that is not a painting on the left. That's actually your picture window looking out into the wilderness. All of them obviously strategically situated, so you're not staring into each other's bathrooms, but a really, really cool way to sort of start the morning. One of our upstairs suites, 2 queen beds. There's a playroom up here. So this is one of our big 3-bedroom wilderness estates. And this is where you start to see really kind of that perfect setting for those larger families, just a really sort of special way to experience the property. And then we do have a really exciting announcement. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, we started a partnership with Lexus. So in all of the homes, because it does, there is a little bit of getting around, we offer a complimentary SUV. At the Greeno, you actually also get one of their electrical vehicles. And then the camps, it's a little bit of a different situation that I'll discuss. But this is complimentary. Airport transportation is complimentary. So kind of removing that part of, rental cars, driving yourselves into the property is taken off the table, which, especially in Montana when there's a lot of things and moving parts, to remove that for our clients is a really nice addition. And so, of course, the luxury camping or the glamping, this is sort of the other part of Paws Up. We have 36 now of these big, beautiful tents. Just to give you an idea of how these accommodations break down, this picture here, really cool explanation or sort of example of the makeup. Each camp, there are 6 camps, quote unquote. This is Cliffside Camp. Each camp holds one big, beautiful dining pavilion and then 6 individual tented accommodations. So there are 6 groups of 6, which is really cool because it kind of leads to its own little resort sort of feel. So on the left there, that big lit up building, that's one of the dining pavilions. And then 1, 2, 3 tents. If you were to kind of pan to the left, you'd see 3 more tents, and that's your own little area. So if you're staying in the camps, breakfast and dinner are eaten in the camps, lunch up at Paws Up. But you also do have a camping butler, so you never feel like you're too far off the beaten path. These are only about 1.5 miles down the road from the main village. So the reason being that they're all situated on the water. This is, if you can believe it or not, is actually the view from the front porch of your tent. So if you can imagine, wake up, have a cup of coffee, stare down the barrel of the river. Pretty spectacular place to be. This is one of the dining pavilions, gives you an idea of what's happening in there. You got a nice, beautiful bar on the left, big fireplaces. Lots of times we'll have live music or games. There is, I'll jump ahead really quickly, just a little bit of a fire pit. So this is where you do s'mores in the evenings, live music, have a glass of wine, watch the sunset. It's a pretty spectacular. This is also one of the views from our dining pavilions in Cliffside Camp. So you just see everything is really geared towards the river when it comes to the camps. They're all either set cantilevered over the river, just set back from the river, or a tiny bit further away, just to give kids a little bit of space to run and that kind of thing. And so each camp, I always tell clients that if you're thinking about the camping or the glamping experience, just call us and say, listen, we have a family of 5. There's mom, dad, 3 kids, 8, 6, and 4. What do you recommend? And I think it gives us a good idea of sort of, what that looks like for the ideal setting. And then, of course, the interior of these tents, just absolutely stunning. This is where people always say, that's not really camping. And maybe you're not totally incorrect, but it is camping how we love it. This is one of our 1-bedroom honeymoon tents with the copper tub at the foot of the bed. On the left there behind the bed, you see the entrance into the ensuite bathroom, which I'll show you in a second here. This is one of our 2-bedroom tents. So you have the big king bed, 2 twin beds. So really great for families. This is when you have kind of the younger kids, if they want to take over a tent, they have their own space, their own little area to spend some time in. Just some more shots of the interior. Each camp has a little bit of a different vibe, but still pretty similar. Really just kind of an aesthetic change, but all really spectacular. As I mentioned, this is the interior of one of the bathrooms, believe it or not, in your tent. Heated slate floors, copper fixtures, heated towel racks. These are kind of these slate structures. So in the winter time, this is actually where we put a lot of the stuff to store it for weatherization. But just a really spectacular sort of offering. I think when I first started a long time ago, we actually had off-suite bathhouses, and walking to the bathroom at 2 in the morning was a daunting task. So this is certainly addressed that need, and just a really sort of a surprise and delight when people come and see just how stunning these accommodations and these bathrooms really are. So those are the accommodations on the Paws Up side. I'm going to dive a little bit into the culinary world of Paws Up. In the time I've been at the resort, I think this has been really a spectacular growth. About 5 or 6 years ago, we brought in an executive chef, excuse me, Sonny Jin. He's got some roots from French Laundry, per se, some of these really incredible places. And he's just created a really exciting, kind of an elevated ranch cuisine type of vibe. A lot of people always ask, is there sort of a center of action, attraction, energy on property? And this is our cook shack. And this is where people convene. So you can see the fire pits. The little areas out front are called dining pods. That's where you can do dinners in the evenings, starting from kind of left to right where that big chimney is. You have a big, beautiful bar, casual dining restaurant, and then our more formal dining, sort of elevated steakhouse. And so in the evenings, you'll see lots of live music. 4th of July, we do fireworks. In the winter, we do an ice skating rink out here. So this is kind of the central hub for entertainment, energy, because especially in Montana, it doesn't get dark at night in the summertime till about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So there are a lot of hours to burn, especially for the younger kids. We try to provide lots of opportunity for excitement. This is the view from one of the dining pavilions, or the dining pods, excuse me. Lots of time there's live music on the stage. Some cool stuff going on. Casual dining, this is Trough, our casual dining restaurant. In the eggs, we have omelet, making. We have huckleberry pancakes. We do a juice bar, a smoothie bar. So really a nice place to kind of start your day. This is where breakfast and lunch are done on property. And then Pomp, our fine dining restaurant. And I should mention before I go too far, in the rates, meals are included. In any of these restaurants, you can eat everywhere you want on property, as well as beer, wine, and well drinks, complimentary cocktails, that kind of thing. It's a pretty exciting program in terms of the culinary world. And then this is our newest addition. This is our outdoor dining offering. It's called Shed. It's during the day. It's a little bit of like a grab and go barbecue, a little bit fast casual, because people do have so many activities happening during the day that we realized this was just a really great opportunity to provide a little something less formal and also show our barbecue chops. We have a really cool chef, Benji, that we brought on that's turned this just incredible barbecue program. A nice shot. If people haven't had lunch yet, I apologize, because this picture always makes me a little bit hungry. Big barbecue spreads, live fire cooking. This is one of those things, I think, that because it's so new, people don't totally realize that this is going to be something that is offered, and it really is just impressive. And then we have some really cool kind of one-off dining experiences, chuck wagon dinners. We do a barbecue on the yard. There is, I've obviously put together tons of itineraries for folks. And honestly, you could probably come to Paws Up for 5 or 6 nights and eat in 6 different locations throughout your stay. So there is a ton of variety. I think sometimes people think that they're going to be eating at the same restaurant over and over again. And it's just not the case. There really is just kind of endless opportunity for folks to dine in different areas. Just some more live fire cooking. Everything we do, we try to incorporate. And then, of course, s'mores. S'mores are everywhere. Every meal you'll have will be finished with a s'more experience. We have a s'moreologist that does kind of s'more classes and all these really cool things. There's a lot of excitement kind of around that whole world. And then our spa, we of course have a big, beautiful spa. This is called Spa Town. On the right, you'll see this sort of reception area. And then those 6 individual treatment tents. I always say, like, one of the more unique places and ways to get a massage. And then, of course, we built this beautiful yoga studio, kind of this glass box in the woods sort of vibe. We do have a gym. I'm not sure I've actually ever seen anybody inside of it, but we do have one. I always say, just go for a hike, go for a walk. Speaking of things to do, the activities program, Wilderness Adventures. People always ask me in my tenure with the resort, what's the differentiator? What really makes Paws Up special? And obviously, hopefully the things I've shown you feel special. But I truly believe that the activities experience offering at the resort is just bar none the best I've seen. In the summertime, we offer over 60 activities. In the winter, pared down a little bit, still over 30, 35 activities. And the beauty of what we do, I think that's really important, is everything we do is in-house. There are guides, it's our equipment, there are rafts, there are fishing lines, there are fishing rods, fly rods, there are ATVs, there are snowmobiles. And so the flexibility to create these really special itineraries and have everything done, right there in your backyard, I think is really impactful. I'll kind of zip through these. There are more than I could ever name in a bunch of slides without this being a 2-hour presentation. But whitewater rafting, some of the best fly fishing in the world. We do float trips. We can take people wade fishing. Our equestrian program is out of this world. Standard trail rides, free rides. We do a really special cattle drive. And these Wranglers are the real deal. I mean, this is where I think, you can kind of speak to just the breadth of what we offer. I think for someone that's never been around a horse, to someone that is a seasoned rider, maybe boards horses, owns horses, they can come up and do some really, really intensive, really impressive riding. And I think that's where you start to see, these ATV tours, backwood ATV tours. We have side-by-side razor tours. We have an incredible ropes course. We're actually developing a ropes course for the little kids. We just built a new mountain biking trail that folks have come and, said is some of the coolest, most interesting mountain biking they've ever done. We have 196-foot rock rappelling. We have a 12-stand sporting clays course. This is, I think, as you see, and as if I haven't shown off enough, about 2 years ago, we bought this island, because why wouldn't we? Located in Salmon Lake. It's about 10 minutes from property, almost completely uninhabited lake. There's a big lodge on it that basically acts as, a lake house for day use. We do 3 times throughout the day. And in the summertime, if you took a picture of this, an updated picture, we have a Malibu speedboat partnership, a Sea-Doo partnership. So we have wakeboard boats, jet skis, pontoon boats, stand-up paddle boards. This is one of those industry secrets. If and when you connect with Teresa and book this trip, I beg you to book the Island Lodge, because you're going to see it and you're going to say, dang it, I should have done this. It really is kind of, I think, that like surprise of all surprises that we have on property. And then, of course, the winter. This is what it looks like on property right now. It's chilly, but it's beautiful. We get tons of snow, big open spaces. I really like to sort of describe Paws Up as the everything but downhill skiing experience. We obviously have Big Sky about 4 hours from us. Whitefish Mountain is about 2.5 hours northwest of us. So I always say, go do a couple days there, come to us and do everything but. We have a dog sled team that lives on property for dog sled tours, the snowmobiling. We have some incredible backcountry tours. Some of the cooler terrain you'll get to experience. This on the left is one of our newest additions. They're called moon bikes. They're sort of like if a dirt bike and a snowmobile had a baby. They're fully electric, so you can rip these things in the backwoods. It's totally silent. I think, again, sort of this is the Island Lodge version of winter activities. If you do come on property in the winter time, I urge you to try this. It's one of those sort of like out-of-body experiences with the silence and just the simultaneously sort of adrenaline of it all. We have the off-road bikes for the winter. Our equestrian programs in full swing. We do, of course, cross-country skiing. Oh, I almost snuck a peek at the Greeno. And just endless stuff to do. I always tell folks, Paws Up in the summer is spectacular. I think in the wintertime is when people realize, my goodness, this is just like I always say, it's kind of like Narnia. You just see these open spaces covered, blanketed in snow, fireplaces in the evening, s'mores at night. It really is, I think, one of the more special kind of magical places to be. And it's easy to get to. You don't have to go to, Chamonix to experience the beauty of snowy mountains. And then the newest addition to the Paws Up family. I was telling Teresa that people always sort of ask, what is the Greeno? And that is a very good question, because we opened in the middle of the pandemic and, a lot of things were different. But we are rocking and rolling. The Greeno, in sort of my short-winded as I have ever been version, it is an adults only enclave at Paws Up. For the longest time, we had a lot of clients that said, yeah, Drew, we love it, but we'd love to have the Paws Up experience, with a little more intimacy, a little bit more sort of exclusivity. We don't necessarily want kids running around, while we're having dinner. And as now, I used to never understand that, but as a father of a 3-year-old, I completely understand that, that a little bit of silence goes a long way. And so we created the Greeno. It is, as the crow flies, about half a mile from the main village at Paws Up. So it's not too far, but you enter under this sexy, cool gate, undulating sort of terrain, and you are brought to these 12 just absolutely incredibly cool, and obviously very different than Paws Up accommodations. There are 12 of them. There are 3 home types. The first home type that you see pictured here is our treehouse. Obviously, just a really spectacular place to sit and chill. With the adults only vibe, we do lots of really cool in-home dining. Our culinary program is out of this world. Everything is really geared towards glass, kind of bringing nature in. This is the main seating area, and I promise you this is a real picture despite how incredibly cool it looks. And so you can see just an elevated, more modern energy around the property. This is one of our roundhouses. Architecturally, I think my favorite house. The interiors are just really, really cool. It's basically, if you look over the top of it, like an infinity symbol. All of the homes do have hot tubs on them. Some of the attention to detail in the artwork, these sunken fireplaces, just a really, really spectacular place for couples to be. And of course, single travelers, we do get lots of girlfriend getaways, guys fishing trips, that kind of thing, YPO groups, depending on sort of the makeup of the group. We've had some buyouts where 12 couples come and big celebratory visits. It's really a special place to spend some time. This is our greenhouse, sort of open floor plan. Each home really unique in its own offerings. There you see on the left, one of the hot tubs. They're all really strategically situated, so that you're not sort of on top of one another. Obviously, you come to Montana, the idea, just like at Paws Up, is to have your own space, to have your own freedoms. And then this is our 4th accommodation. This is the lighthouse, sort of a really interesting model of a house kind of pulled out of itself. You can see if there you go. There's the bedroom. It's sort of this glass atrium kind of pulled out of the back of the house, facing into the woods. At sunset, this is like one of the more magical places I think you can be. And you see just more modern accommodations, more modern settings, artwork. It really has a little bit more of a grown-up feel than Paws Up can, but still both, we have a lot of folks that will do both. They'll do the glamping accommodations, do a tent for a couple days, then come up to the Greeno. Just a kind of a unique way to have a 2-in-1 vacation, without having to go too far. And then sort of the literal cherry on the top is the culinary experience at the Greeno. This is the social house, excuse me. This is where breakfast, lunch, and dinner are provided. You can, of course, have access to everything at Paws Up with the Greeno, and I'll touch on that kind of after this, with how activities operate and things like that. But the culinary world, this is, if you are a foodie, no foodies, spread the word. Our chef was actually just nominated for a James Beard Award. This space is open 24 hours a day. It's kind of acts like we built it after like more of an open house kind of vibe. There's always music playing. There's a big open bar, open seating. So you can kind of come and go as you please. Big fireplace there in the middle. Open kitchen concept. So you can sit down, watch the chefs cook. They'll chop it up with you, tell you what they're making. When they do present dishes, it is a 7-course tasting menu for dinners. There, of course, is an all-day dining menu that you don't need to necessarily do that every night. But I would recommend it because it is just absolutely out of this world. There's Chef Brandon on the right, our most recent James Beard nominee. And then some pictures of the cuisine. I mean, it is just everything on that plate is edible. Everything they do is just super ingredient driven, open fire cooking, scallops, and then just a really kind of a picture that gives you a little bit of an idea of the remote nature of this place. And again, it gets all the love in the summer and the fall, but the Greeno in the winter, I think is one of the more magical places that you could spend some time. And then just to finish it off with a little picture of the wildlife. We've got all sorts of wildlife, lots of deer. We do have our occasional bear sighting, the bird watching. up there is absolutely out of this world. Then with the bison, the horses, the cattle, it does really give you a special taste of Montana. And that's it, Teresa. How'd I do?
You did fabulous, Drew. I did.
Pause for a
You were
virtual
on a
round of
roll.
applause.
I was going to ask some questions in the middle, but you were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt your flow.
I was
So
excited.
I wrote down some questions.
Yeah, please.
Let's start at the very beginning. When someone flies into Missoula, do you
Yep.
guys provide transfers from the airport to your property?
We do, yeah. We have a fleet of Mercedes Sprinters and big Lexus SUVs. We handle all transportation. We pick your clients up at the airport and whisk them away. It honestly is about as seamless as it gets. From landing to the front door of your accommodation is like an hour and 10 minutes, and you're rocking and rolling.
So next question.
Yeah.
How many girls trips do you have usually, and where do they stay? Like the Greeno or Paws Up?
Yeah, it kind of depends. You know, the beauty of Paws Up is, and the Greeno, I should say, you know, is that we can really accommodate. Obviously, the Greeno's a little different, but you know, with girlfriend getaways, like a lot of times, or just larger trips in general, we'll do like a camp buyout where they'll take over 6 tents, and each have their own accommodation, and it's really cool because it kind of acts as their own little resort. We do get a lot of trips where, you know, say it's 10, 12 guys or gals. The big wilderness estates are really perfect for that because they have 3 master suites within this big accommodation. And so you have the big great room, you have the front patio, hot tub on the back, and then you have these master suites. And so they kind of act as like little hotel rooms within this bigger accommodation. So everyone has their own space, and then you can kind of come together. And so lots of times we will see, you know, 2 or 3 of those homes get taken over, and then one kind of becomes the center where everybody hangs out. And then obviously, you know, that you run around and do all the things on property. And then for the Greeno, you know, that's really like, if you can make it happen, I think that's the really ideal way. You know, you can do up to 8 accommodations without it being a buyout. Once you get above 8, we do require a buyout, just because obviously there are moving parts with having that many homes taken by one group. But yeah, I mean, the 4, 5, 6 number for a getaway for some girlfriends, guys, or even, you know, what we're now seeing is folks will come to Paws Up with their families, see the Greeno, hear about the Greeno, and the parents will all come back on like an adults only trip, you know, take over 3 or 4 of the houses, and kind of have a really, really different experience. I mean, the culinary especially is just totally different. And I think, you know, the beauty of the Greeno is that you can also still go down to a chuck wagon dinner. You can go down to a barbecue, and have that experience as well.
Awesome. So I take it Paws Up and the Greeno is never closed year round. There's not a month where you guys close.
No, we're open year round. The only thing that closes or comes down are the tents. So the tents do close. They open basically like the first weekend of May. They are really insulated. Obviously, weather in Montana, I always say, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. So you never really know what you're going to get, but usually you'll get pretty good weather. And then they basically close the middle of October.
Okay.
And they're canvas. You know, people always say, like, are they real tents? And they are. The reason we take them down, they are canvas A-frames. And so, you know, one year, we don't talk about it, but we left them up a little too long and it snowed, and we found ourselves in a little bit of a predicament. So we've learned.
I can see it now in my third eye.
Yeah, exactly. We learned our lessons, so they come down more strictly than they used to.
Okay, so in the wintertime,
Yeah.
do you see the northern lights in the wintertime? Like January, February?
Unfortunately, we don't see northern lights. We are up there. I will say the stars are out of this world. But we're only about 2 hours south of the Canadian border, and kind of that's the beginning of the Canadian Rockies. So they kind of block that from us.
So out of all the hundreds of activities, you guys don't have like an observatory, to look at the stars. That's one thing. Oh, you do?
Yeah, we do some stargazing. We have a guy that is based out of Missoula that we bring up every once in a while. I mean, you almost don't even need like an enhancement of visuals because it is, I will say, I've been there forever, and I find myself just kind of standing sometimes in the middle of the road.
There's no
Just
city lights to block
yeah,
the,
it's next level. I think that especially in the winter when the sky's real low. I mean, it is you sort of feel like you're in a painting. It's the real deal. It's one of those things that people said call it big sky country. I'm like, I believe it. I agree with it.
yeah. Um, what about, you mentioned included in the price,
Yeah.
meals and beverages. So it's all inclusive in terms of meals and beverages, the
Yeah.
F&B program. What about the activities? Do they have to pay for activities, or is that included?
Yeah, so the activities are an a la carte offering, so there is an additional charge for activities. And the reason that we've done that, and it has been full transparency, sort of the $1 million question over the past 14 years. Two reasons. One, because we offer so many activities, it's really hard to create an all-inclusive package that isn't just exorbitantly expensive. And what we didn't want to do was say, yeah, we're an inclusive property, but if you want to do the really cool stuff, you have to pay extra. And so we've really just gone to an a la carte. All the prices are on the website, obviously, and the beauty of it being in house is that the rates of what you do comparatively to like a third party, being involved is that they're all really really appropriate. The other part is, and what we realized, especially with the Greeno, is that we get a lot of folks that come up and they just want to chill. And they don't do anything. They want to read a book. They want to drink a glass of wine. They want to look at the stars. They want to watch the river go by. And that way it doesn't feel like they're paying for things that they're not going to do. And so I think, especially with the introduction, of the Greeno, I think we did the right thing. And we can certainly create prepaid packages. We do have sometimes during special events, activity credit type things or inclusive events or activities. But for the most part, the beauty of it is that you get with our team and you and your clients say, hey, we want to do a million things and we'll build this incredible itinerary. Or it's like, we want to do one thing and then we want to take naps, which also sounds phenomenal. And that certainly works too. And you don't feel like you're missing anything if you're not doing it.
Okay, so the last question, because I've been drilling you, the last question is on dietary restrictions. I can only imagine they can create anything you want. So a vegetarian or a vegan would not have an issue?
Nope. Yeah, we have. I officially think that I've now witnessed every dietary restriction under the sun, and we can accommodate it all. We can accommodate gluten, celiac, obviously celiac, kosher, vegetarian. The beauty of being an intimate property. It sounds huge, and I think sometimes I wheel through all these things. You're like, my goodness, this is the biggest place on earth. It's still a really intimate place, and in the planning process, we can do anything. We've had the most intense levels of kosher clients come through, and we've created those programs. We've had vegetarians come to Montana master grillers, and we've managed to make that work. And so it's a really really bespoke, really malleable culinary program. Even up at the Greeno. Chef Brandon, who, these really kind of niche tasting menus, he almost prides himself on opportunities to recreate a dish that might have had pork belly in it with a cool mushroom, or sometimes I'll just say I want to try the vegetarian version of these just to see what you got. And they're just as good, if not better, because there's more care. There's a level of pride in making sure that everybody with any dietaries is accommodated tenfold.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for educating us on the resorts at Paws Up and the Greeno. And if anyone is watching and you're interested in securing a reservation or getting prices or doing a buyout for a celebration, please reach out to me. I'm Teresa from Honeymoon Islands. Just go to my website, honeymoonislands.com, and you can click on contact us to get my contact information. I work directly with the reservation team on property, and Drew is there to help travel advisors get you VIP'd.
Yep.
So he is our liaison. He's our contact. So he knows that you're watching this podcast and we will get you VIP'd. But Please reach out to me. And until next time, if you can dream it, we will create it. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.